WOCA.
Diamonds in the sunset, now your time has come.
All right, 24 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. Robin, I used to work for the state of Florida.
Yes.
And when I worked for the state of Florida, I worked for the juvenile justice, whatever you call that thing. And they had a certain way to write an incident report. When you wrote any number, you also had to write it out. You had to put it down in number form and then also in parentheses in written form. Mm-hmm. And it was like, that is so crazy. Who would do that? I mean, why can't you one or the other? You mean people are so needing the actual numerals, you can't just write it with 445? You had to write parentheses 445.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Oh, I've been guilty of doing that.
Or $6 and then in quotes the numeral $6.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Legal documents.
and things were worded so crazy. And in my choice of careers, like I'll say that plural, I mean, you've written a lot of different kinds of stuff, whether it's a short paragraph that we call the news or a song. We've written songs. You and I have written dialogue for the children's show we've done, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of writing, it has been part of our lives. And now with this spell check thing, I was writing a friend about an old teacher named Mrs. Schechter. Schecter.
Yes.
And the stupid thing kept changing it to Mrs. Montgomery. Now, how is that even close?
Technology.
How are we supposed to write anything when our computers are telling us what it should be?
Exactly.
I don't even know who Mrs. Montgomery is. And so there is a wonderful book here if you want to be a writer of anything, whether it's a report or a novel or your memoirs.
Or a wedding announcement even.
Yeah. This is called How to Write Anything, a complete guide. It is a huge book. A lot of work has been put into this writing, done by Laura Brown. I think I address her as Dr. Laura Brown. It says Laura Brown, PhD. I think you say doctor when there's a PhD at the end.
Yep.
Dr. Laura Brown. Not the Laura Brown that does the radio show, by the way, right? Was that
right?
Laura?
Right.
Good morning, doctor.
Good morning. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, thanks.
Where are you?
I'm in New York City.
See, I could hear the New York.
Really?
Are you a Long Island girl?
No, I'm not.
No? Okay.
I'm from Los Angeles.
You're from Los Angeles? Oh, you've been in New York too long.
Maybe I have. Maybe it's time to go home.
No. How long have you been there?
I've been here for almost 30 years.
30. Oh, that's. I'm glad you didn't say 30 days. I was going to say, well, I don't know how that happened, but yeah. Well, thank you for being on the air with us. Yeah. So you as a writer, you've been writing everything, and then even more than what I said, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. I started out as a PhD student at Columbia, but then sort of made my way into freelance editing and writing, mostly doing business consulting. And over the years, my business clients would bring different writing tasks to me. They'd have to write a thank you note or a condolence message, or one of their children is applying to college and they need a college application essay, or this being New York, they have a child applying to kindergarten and they needed to write
really
for them. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Do you know what I don't like? And maybe this is because I'm older. I don't know, but I don't like templates. I don't like where what has ipsum, gypsum, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There's no real writing on there, but it's all laid out, and you're supposed to replace it with your own words.
Well, it can be a double-edged sword because I think some people find templates really easy. Because otherwise you're just looking at a blank page and you don't know what to do. So I think templates can be really supportive, but I think other people feel shut down by them. Like, well, I didn't really want to do it this way. I have another idea of how I want to do it, and yeah, the templates can be sort of inhibiting.
Mm-hmm. But and there's templates for a lot of different things. There's templates for screenplay. If you want to write a movie, right?
Yeah.
Now, or an app. They call it an app, right?
Yeah.
And it basically, I don't know. I've never written a screenplay. But I know some people who have, and they use this program. Woody Allen never needed that, did he? I mean,
yeah, right.
Well, I've done a lot of screenplay writing, although I haven't sold anything yet. And I know people who use those templates, and I know there are a lot of screenwriting books that have a lot of different formulas, and I think the formulas make people feel secure, because otherwise you just feel like you're kind of at sea. But I mean, ultimately, it's your own creative impulse that you have to trust, I think.
Yeah, I like writing that says it all. I don't like when something is abbreviated or, like it said, like some people will type in on their Facebook, "Went to the store." Why can't they type in one extra word? One letter. I went to the store. Why do they drop that? I don't understand that.
Well, another thing you're seeing a lot of is texting abbreviations creeping into formal writing. I have friends who teach high school and college writing, and they're telling me that they're actually getting texting abbreviations in their student papers, and the students have no idea that there's a problem with that. And that's that's a problem when they go to work, and they start writing emails with the letter B and the numeral 4 and things like that. But it's fine for texting, but you have to understand the context, and there's still a lot of formal writing out there.
And there seems not to be any paragraphs anymore. When I write emails, I make sure to have paragraphs and do the different thoughts and things, but I'll get emails from people, and it's just one continuous paragraph. There's nothing broken up about it, and that's pretty annoying.
Let me ask you, do you read those emails all the way through?
No.
That are a big block paragraph? A lot of
No.
people don't. A lot of people will not read a big block paragraph email.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. I guess it just looks too cumbersome or something, right?
Yeah.
So who is the book for? Is the book for the wannabe novelist, or is it for all the other things we write in the course of our lives?
The book is not for novelists or creative writers, although, novelists and creative writers have to write practical things in their lives, too. The book is completely practical. It's all about all of the different writing tasks that life will throw you at work, at school, and in your personal life. So I have a section on work emails and how to use instant messaging effectively at work. I have all kinds of school writing assignments, literary papers, history papers, science reports, and then there's a big section on writing in your personal life, and that's the wedding invitations, the thank you notes, the apologies, condolence messages, a wedding toast, an obituary. I have almost 200 different writing tasks.
And that's where I have one question about the wedding thank you note. The examples that were given in the book was that it came from one person. It didn't say that we thank you for the gift. It either says the husband's name and I thank you for the gift, or the wife's name and I thank you for the gift, and then whoever the I is, it's just one person's signature at the bottom. Why wouldn't it just be we?
Oh gosh, I didn't realize I had done that. I thought I had included an example from both. If I didn't, that was my mistake, because that's a perfectly good way to do it as well. You can have it be. I think sometimes if there's one person in the couple who's friends with the person who's given the gift, the note might come from that person to his or her friends, but mention the spouse. So yeah, definitely.
Oh, that makes sense.
But if you're inviting people to a baby shower, you don't want to say we're pregnant. That's just stop that whole thing. We are pregnant. We are not.
I agree with you so much, and there's been a big flap on Facebook about that, because I think Mila Kunis came out and said something on Jimmy Fallon's show about saying,
I know.
Please say we're pregnant. That's always been a hobby horse of mine.
Mine too. So she stole it from you and I.
That's right, because Larry's been saying that for years, and you've been saying
I saw that bit, and I said, "Look at this, Robin. They took my joke. I've been using it.
Yeah.
Now I can't use it anymore. I thought I'd use it one more time, and sure enough, you knew about that.
Exactly.
I was hoping you didn't know about that thing. Then.
We're expecting a baby, but we are not pregnant.
That's a good way. By the way, in the book, and again, the book is called How to Write Anything: A Complete Guide. Laura Brown is the author. Do I refer to you as doctor?
It's optional. You can refer to
Optional.
me as
Okay, all right. But I'm always confused when I say PhD, but that is a doctor, right? Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and that's correct.
All right, so when my son is now going on 28, but when he was in grade school, in whatever years that was, he had an assignment, and I didn't know how to help him, because the assignment was to write an expository writing. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what that was. I don't remember learning that in school. Is that something new, or did I just miss that class?
I think it's probably just a new way of describing the assignment. That's part of the reason I wrote the book, because students do come home with assignments and they come to their parents and say, help. And you need to be able to help them. Yeah, expository writing is is descriptive writing, and
Just descriptive? That's all it is?
not just descriptive, but it provides.
Can you give me an example, or should I find that page?
I think let's see if we can both find a page. Where is it?
It must be the peanut butter sandwich one.
I think that's it.
The peanut butter sandwich one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that was the process one.
I like that example.
You have
That's
a very
great
long book,
example.
by the way, so we didn't read the whole thing. You didn't read the whole thing, did you, Robin?
No,
It's not,
I've been.
it's not a very good read cover to cover. That's not really what
Okay, so we'll just skip the expository writing unless I can find it while we're talking. But so somebody would buy the book kind of as a reference book, because all of a sudden it's time to write a resume. All of a sudden it's time to write a thank you note, like Robin pointed out, right? And there you go. There's some help.
And it's always there, because a lot of times all of a sudden you have to write something that you didn't expect to have to write. So my hope is that it's right there next to your cookbook, and it's always there to refer to. I do talk in the beginning of the book about the writing process, which I think is applicable to all different kinds of writing, and makes it something a little bit more than just a reference book. The writing process is usually taught in this linear way. You're usually taught, okay, you have to think about your purpose and your reader, and then brainstorm content, and then make an outline, and then write a draft, and revise that draft. And I was teaching, actually, one night at Columbia University in an adult ed class, and I heard myself saying to my students, okay, guys, I'm going to teach you this writing process. I know you're not going to use it, but I'm going to teach it to you anyway. And I thought, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute, there's a problem here. And as I thought about it, I realized the problem is not everybody thinks that way. Not everybody thinks in a linear way. And I don't even write that way. I always start by writing a draft, and then I go back and work with it.
Yeah, it's like molding clay, right? The more you work on it, the better it becomes.
So the beginning of the book is really about helping people find the best process for their writing, whatever writing they do. Different.
Years ago, when you still wrote handwritten notes, sometimes a person would put smiley faces and stuff at the bottom, or draw little caricatures or something. I know Ronnie's aunt, when she sends birthday cards and stuff, she's got a caricature of herself that she always puts on her cards. But now this has evolved into emoticons. Are they acceptable when you're typing things?
It really depends on the context. I think if you're emailing your friends, absolutely. I think if you're at work and you're emailing a potential client, no, you probably shouldn't.
I want to keep a copy of your book in my car, and I'm going to explain why. I was on a vacation when, again, my son was little. We had the family dog in the car. We had to stop at a rest area. I was parked in the shade because I didn't want the dog. It wasn't that hot out. It was early in the morning. I said, the dog will be okay. So we rolled the windows half down, hurried up into the bathroom, and when we came back, there was a note on the windshield. And it said, "You inconsiderate moron. The entire time you were gone, your dog was barking, and I was trying to take a nap." And I was thinking, gosh, who wrote this?
Yeah.
Well, somebody apparently had been parked next to me, and I didn't know he was sleeping in his car.
Yeah.
Now, you have a piece in your book where that is exactly the wrong way to write that note.
He should have learned etiquette.
I'm going to have this book with me next time I have that circumstance.
Oh, that's funny.
The example, she said, this is what she writes in the book. Do not write it like this. To the moron in the Mazda. And then it goes on from there. That's almost exactly, right?
Yeah, she probably got a note from the same guy.
I got it too. You inconsiderate moron.
That's right.
I remember it clearly because I used to audio tape the trips just so I could have some fun at the end and put something together. Yeah. So, yeah.
I do have that section in the book, and it seems silly, but if you want to just blow off steam, you don't really have to worry about what you're writing. But if you have an ongoing problem, if there's somebody who's blocking your parking place or parking in your parking place, you don't want to leave an abusive note because you want to get them to change their behavior, right? So it takes a little nuance to do that. It's always hard to write effectively when you're mad.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, the guy was kind enough to put some crackers through the window, thinking it would shut the dog up. We found crackers on the seat, and I said, "Where'd those crackers come from?" And must have been the guy. So
What a great guy.
Abraham Lincoln, I think it was, said one time, if you're really mad at somebody, write the most poison pen letter you can think of, put it in an envelope, and then walk down to the post office and then put it in the garbage. Did you ever hear that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Yes, I've also heard a version of it where someone says to mail it to yourself,
Oh.
and that's just to give you a cooling off period.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess in his world, you walk to the post office, you'll be cooled down.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. I think
You help people preparing for college also with their letters of recommendation all the way when they're in college doing different kinds of outlines, how to be most effective.
yes, the book really does carry you right through high school, through the college application process, and even into graduate school. There's a section about how to ask your professor for recommendations for graduate school, which you can also use with your high school teachers for recommendations for college, and then a bunch of information about the college application essay as well, and scholarship applications.
You know what I'm wondering, Dr. Laura Brown? I was wondering if you had to ask around a little bit, because if I was going to try to write a book on how to write anything, I would only think of the things that I would need to write. I wouldn't know all the things that people need to write about.
Yeah, good point.
So how did you get out of that? Did you ask a lot of people? What kind of things do you write, you know?
I did ask a lot of people, and I asked people for help. I remember being at brunch with a friend, and I happened to be sitting at the table with a science professor, and I said, "Oh, hey, what do your students have to write? And what can you tell me about lab reports?" Because I was an English major, and science was not really my thing. So yeah, he gave me a lot of information about what his students write. I have a lot of friends who teach, and I sent out surveys to people that I know in different fields because I wanted it to be as comprehensive as possible, but also accurate and up to date.
I'm looking in the index for public service announcements, because if you don't have it in here, I'll tell the listeners.
Yeah.
Here's my rule. If you want to write a public service announcement for a radio host to read,
That's right.
get a regular size index card, a ballpoint pen, and write with normal size writing. And if you have more to say than it'll fit on one side, you've got too much to say.
Yep.
Can I steal that for the next edition? I don't have it in the book.
Okay, yeah, because
Yeah.
that is absolutely the truth too. I mean, obviously you have to have a contact information. Also, don't put more than one phone number. It's too confusing.
Yeah, exactly.
One phone number, and everything you got to say has to be on one side of a normal size index card, handwritten.
Yeah.
In normal size handwriting. It's fine, Hey, we're having a fish fry at the church on Saturday.
exactly.
You don't need to spell out everything.
Yeah, here's the time it starts and call for more
Yeah.
information.
This is great. Doing something. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it'll probably take up another third of a page, actually.
You do something wonderful in here. You use two different colored fonts. Two different colored fonts, like to do this and don't do this, and that really helps the reader, I think.
I'm glad you mentioned it. That was the publisher's idea. That was the book designer came up with it, and I think it's beautiful, and I love the way the information just jumps off the page.
When a person is writing prose and then they have characters in the story with different dialects and things, this is very helpful too, because if you've got a character that's writing a thank you letter or that's making some kind of announcement, you also have to be correct in that kind of writing.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Oh, I see one that you have a chapter on promotions and public relations, and that would include brochures.
Right.
That's an area a lot of people need help on because they put too much on the self-made brochures.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and so many people have small businesses.
Yes.
There's a big need for that. Yeah, I think what people have ideas in their head that they want to say about their business. This is what's important to me about the business. And the thing is, you really have to think from your potential customer's point of view. You know, what are they going to find engaging?
And you talk about letters to the editor and the op-ed pieces also, and the editorial, which is very important because our community newspaper, they contain all three.
Yeah, that's good. And people, people need to be heard, and it's important to be able to, format your letter correctly, have it the right length. Small papers really do want to hear from you. They really want to publish ideas and contributions from people in the community. So if you can make it easy for them, it's pretty easy to get published.
Yeah, I would think so. Well, you're a pretty lady. I'm looking at the back flap now.
Thank you.
All right, so I have a copy of the book from Dr. Laura Brown, and it's a huge book. It's 570-something pages, 596 pages. If you want it, call me right now. I will give it to you, leave it for you here at the studio, and let me take a call, and then we'll find out how the rest of us can go buy it. Good morning. You've got the book. Who's this?
Ken.
Ken, do you know where we are?
Yes, I do.
Okay, right in the Paddock Mall, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Sounded like he wasn't sure. Maybe he thought we moved. And maybe he didn't know we moved. All right, Dr. Brown, how do we get the book?
The book is everywhere. It's in all the independent bookstores. It's in Barnes & Noble. It's on barnesandnoble.com. It's on amazon.com. So it's very widely available.
Howtowriteanything.com also, right?
Yes, I have a website, howtowriteanything.com, and I have a bunch of free resources there if people want to go and read my blog and grab some free downloads, and there's more information about the book there as well.
And you also talk about menus in the book also, and when you're promoting that menu for the
Chinese restaurant needs to have some menu tips. They need some help.
I have a section on recipes too. My Aunt Grace, I actually had an Aunt Grace, and she gave me her cheesecake recipe, which was a classic at Easter every year, and the recipe was incomprehensible. So,
oh wow!
Oh really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
She started somewhere in the middle. There was a lot of stuff I was supposed to know that I didn't know, so I think it's helpful to learn the correct recipe format if you really want to help people.
You know what? I bought this bird bath from my son and his wife. And it had a submersible pump in it so that the water would keep flowing. And you could not figure out what those instructions were trying to tell you.
They should have told you in the beginning, this is a submersible pump.
Yeah, they should have said that. And we thought, you mean you're supposed to put the wire in the water? Yes, you're supposed to put the wire in the water. Dr. Laura Brown, you are a joy to talk to. Thank you for being on the air. This is an awesome book. I don't think I've ever heard of such a book like this before. So thank you for doing something unique.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And come back anytime. And you lost the LA accent a little bit, but I think you've been New Yorkized.
Oh, I need to do something about that. I've been hearing it in myself and thinking, oh, wait a minute, that's not what I signed up for.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for being on the show with us.
Thank you very much.
All right. We will take a break. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Another city in northern Iraq, Tal Afar, falling into the hands of Sunni militants. This as the U.S. shores up security at its embassy in Baghdad and moves some personnel.
Meantime, President Obama and military chiefs consider options to boost Iraqi defenses. A U.S. aircraft carrier has moved in.